Brian Grimes, your real estate mentor, back with another action-packed session. Today, we're going to be breaking down a $1,000 a month cash flow strategy for you guys. So make sure you stick around to the end. I'm actually going to walk you through a deal. This is an actual deal that we did in our Boots on the Ground program. This is where we find the properties, we build them for you, we tenant them for you, and property manage them for you, and you get the cash flow. So I get a lot of requests about this. So I wanted to walk through all of the numbers so that you guys can see what a deal actually looks like, how the numbers break down, and how you can use this strategy to build cash flow for yourself and your family for the rest of your life. So if all you did was learn this one strategy, you could go out within the next 90 days and build, an extra $1,000 a month of cash flow and continue to build upon that, do more deals. It all just starts with one deal, and we'll talk about that. If you're new to the channel, like, comment, subscribe, leave a comment that says I subscribed. For everyone who leaves that comment, I'm going to send you a free training, instant access to that free training. It'll show you how to acquire properties for pennies on the dollar all across the country. You don't want to miss out on that free offer. If you're interested in any of our programs, the Boots on the Ground mentorship program, where we find the houses and build them for you, or our one-on-one VIP mentorship program where you get to work with me one-on-one, just click the links in the description. You can tap into that. And let's stay locked in. Also, we have the real estate ride-along coming up March 23rd. We just sold some more tickets over the weekend, so we're running low on tickets. If you want to learn more about that, watch some of the videos on the YouTube channel or the Instagram channel. You'll see, testimonials and, people's experience. People fly in. I get this question. Brian, could you work with me one-on-one if I'm in California or, if I'm here or there? Yes, we'll work with you from anywhere in the country. Some people even outside of the country. We'll show you how to tap into real estate and profitable markets, no matter where you're at. And the reason why, to expand upon that, is somebody asked me, like, could you help me if I'm in California? And I said, well, what sport did you play growing up? I said, well, I played football. I said, well, could you play football in Philly, even though you grew up playing it in California? Same game, right? Same sport, same fundamentals. That's kind of how real estate is. Once you learn the fundamentals of this game and how to evaluate deals, how to run your numbers, the cost of construction, even what we go over today, you can use it anywhere. You can implement it anywhere in the country. There are easy systems that you can put together to invest out of town. So if you're in an overpriced market, you don't need to just sit there and try to wait out the market like prices are going to fall or I'll get in when it's a better market. It's not going to be better. One of our mindset topics is how America is becoming a renter's nation right before our eyes. America is shifting. And a lot of people haven't done the research to be able to tell, but there was a time where the average American did not own real estate, did not own the house that they lived in. That was kind of pre-Depression era. And then they made some changes. They came out with 30-year mortgages and all these different things. And that shifted, but it's starting to shift back. And the projection is by 2040, most of America will be like a renter's nation, which is important for you if you're watching this, because you have an opportunity that your children and the next generation after them, the grandchildren and the grandchildren's children, they're not going to have the opportunity that you have to make a decision to get off the sidelines and get into the game. They're actually depending on you. And the decision that you make today with whether or not you're going to get into real estate or if you're going to sit on the sideline, that's going to have an impact on their future because prices are going up and up and up. So this is your wake-up call. If you wait too late and rates go back down, prices go way back up, a lot of you are going to get priced out of the market. And your generations are going to get priced out of the market as well. They're going to become part of this permanent renters nation that we're looking at. And that's going to be fine for us landlords who are out running this strategy that I'm about to teach you, because we need more renters. Quite frankly, we want more cash flow. And if you want $1,000 a month of cash flow, you need a renter. But we don't want to necessarily lock generations of our family into being permanent renters, which there are countries around the world where, or states or cities, where it's just like everybody rents here. 80% of the people rent, 90% rent. So that is coming to America. Guys, if you have any questions as we go through this, drop the question in the comment section. drop it in the chat section. We'll kind of answer the questions as we go. And let's just kick this thing off. So like I said, this is a deal that we did for a Boots on the Ground member. This guy was in New York. He wanted to tap into the Philly market. So he got involved with the Boots on the Ground program. We found him a couple of deals. And what was cool about how he financed the deals is he just used a HELOC. A lot of people will ask that, how do I leverage these deals? Well, you can use a home equity line of credit. And if you live in one of these states like New York or California, where you can build massive amounts of equity in your primary residence, you can take that equity and unlock a HELOC and then pump that money into one of these cash flow assets. And this is a deal where at the end of the construction process, we're able to do a refinance, pull all the money back out of the deal. So all of the money that we put into this deal came back out in the form of a refi. And we'll talk about that as I work through the numbers. And then this guy's getting cash flow on top of that. So, and any one of you could execute on a deal like this. So we found this deal right on the MLS. We found it right on redfin.com. Like, it wasn't hiding. We didn't need special wholesale relationships, you need specialized knowledge in the sense of being able to identify that it's a profitable deal, what you can do with it. These are all things that we can show you how to do within the mentorship program, but you don't need specialized software or special relationships or anything. You just need a little bit of knowledge and the ability to move fast when you see opportunity. So we found this deal on the MLS, and they were asking maybe 110,000. Melissa said, do you need a real estate license? You don't need a license to do this. You don't need a license. You don't need anything other than somebody to show you how to do it. Somebody to say, look, that's a good deal. That's a bad deal. Here's why. And then for you to be able to digest that information and then take action upon it. Any one of you watching this right now can go out and do this in 90 days or less. 90 days or less, you can have the exact same results that we're talking about here. But no, you don't need to be licensed. So we went out, they were asking 110,000, and we ran our numbers on the deal. I know the market. I kind of have some market specialization there. I know how to do market research. We offered them 85. We landed on 90,000. So we put down, you guys can see that. We put down 90K on this deal. So we came in with an all cash offer, 90,000. We're going to close in 30 days. No problem. And we knew that we had a renovation budget. It was a really small budget because, see, this developer who was selling us the property, they had already had it tenanted and they tried to do room rentals, but they were inexperienced. So they put a bunch of bad people in the property. They burn out really quick, and they brought this property on the market 6 months later. So I had already seen it. And then when it came back on the market, my follow-up game is very strong. A lot of money in real estate can be made in following up on deals, not the initial offer, but then keeping an eye on a profitable deal and following up over and over again, keeping an eye on that deal for months, and you can get the money. And especially if you're just starting, you only need 2-3 deals a year to build up $2,000-$3,000 a month in cash flow, scale your way out of the 9-to-5. So you can do it very quickly. So because they had already renovated it, but it was lived in and needed a little bit of work, we had a rehab budget of $30,000. So we were going to come in, paint, TLC, clean up the basement a little bit, redo the floors. We popped in some new windows. We fixed the plumbing because there were leaks. There were just some minor things. 30K is like a very fast cosmetic renovation. This is a renovation that can be done hypothetically in anywhere from like 3 to 6 weeks. It definitely should go closer to 3. It could go to 6. It depends on the amount of people you're using. These are all things that we talk about in the mentorship program. So there are ways to get it done cheaper for closer to 20,000. If you want to do 30,000, you can go faster. So you're always making these different decisions as a developer. Do I want to go fast? Do I want to keep my costs low and work with less guys? Am I pulling permits? Do I want to fly under the radar? There are a lot of different decisions that you need to think through. But 30K. So you're all in at 120, right? All in 120. And then there's going to be some friction with closing costs. But that's about 70% of the ARV. This is the ARV I'll explain what that means. ARV is the after repair value. This is what the property is worth after we do the renovation. So we buy it for 90, put in 30, call out an appraiser. Appraiser says, hey, it's worth 170. So we're all in with friction and everything at about 75%. 75%, which means we can get all of our money back. Because in a 30-year fixed mortgage, most lenders will lend you up to 80% of this number of the after repair value, up to 80% of the ARV. So if you can structure a deal like we did, where you can buy it and renovate it for less than or at around 75%, you can typically always find a lender who will come in and say, oh, you have a property, it's move-in ready, and you have good equity in the deal, we'll give you a mortgage. That mortgage, that 30-year fixed mortgage, cashed this guy back out of his home equity line. So all of that money he took, boom, put it back into the deal. Are we paying the seller's closing costs? Which is a good question. That depends on where you're at, what location you're in. So depending on what state you're in, there are different norms. So in places like California, it may be like, hey, the buyer pays everything. In Philly, it's always split. In Baltimore, it's always split. There are some places where the seller pays everything. Seller pays all costs. So it just depends on where you're at. But traditionally, no. We're going to pay our closing costs. The seller's going to pay their closing costs. And that's what happened here. So our closing costs were not all that expensive. And we were coming in pretty much with a cash offer. So we weren't paying a lot of extra lending fees. So maybe there was only another $3,000 or $4,000 of friction on this deal, $5,000 of friction, which is how we were able to stay in. Like this number, 120, if you guys can go and divide 120 divided by 170, and you'll get like 70%, essentially. So even with the friction, we're in at 75%, which is how this deal can work and why these numbers make a lot of sense. Here's another question. And guys, keep questions coming, because it's more important that you guys ask your questions and understand this. I already know this stuff. So make sure you guys all get your questions in as we're flowing through this. What if a seller doesn't have funds to pay for the liens that come up at closing? It depends. If they don't have money to pay the liens that come up at closing, then they probably can't get the deal done. It might become a creative financing deal. If they're in a position where they can't sell at a fair market purchase price because they have liens, then they can't sell to you, they can't sell to anybody. So now you put on your creative financing hat and say, hey, I know you don't want to sell at a loss. So what if we could do like a lease purchase option or a subject to deal or a wraparound mortgage, and I just take over the debt and leverage the debt? Because if they can't sell at $90K and make a profit, it's because they have an $85,000 to $89,000 mortgage. So after closing costs, they have to put money in the deal. So now I'm coming and saying, well, let me take over the $90,000 debt. I'll take it over. I'll cover the liens. And now I don't have to come with any money to the table to buy this deal. So even if you're watching this right now, you're starting out with no cash or like limited cash. Hey, I got like $3,000, $5,000. You could still go after somebody like this in this situation where the seller doesn't have funds to pay. That means they're motivated. That means there's a pain point. And once you learn how to push that pain point and present the proper solution, you could actually take over this deal and make the cash flow, or more cash flow than we're even talking about if you did this creatively. How fast can a title search be done? It depends. That depends on your municipality, because some municipalities are set up better than others. So they'll have better systems. But typically, I'll say like 2 to 3 weeks, they can typically clear title, which is why a 30-day close is standard. I've had some 30-day closes that get pushed back 60 days because they can't clear title because there's some type of inheritance tax issue or something that is a little bit more crafty and requires more finesse. But outside of that, your traditional deal, I would give it 10 days, 7 to 10 days for a good title company. For a mom and pop shop, somebody who's like very understaffed or is older, like you go into the title company and everybody's old and you're like, oh, they're using the old systems. They're going to take, 2 to 3 weeks. But today you can do it with the right systems and the right team and staff. You could do it in 7 to 10 days. And I've seen titles turn around that fast. And buyer wants to sue for specific performance. I'm not sure if that's what if seller doesn't want to have funds to pay? This sounds like a specific issue that you're dealing with. What if the seller doesn't have funds to pay for the liens that come up at closing, and the buyer, which I would assume would be you, wants to sue for specific performance, or maybe it's the other way around. Once you do a contract, you do have to sell. So it's not like they can make you, well, yeah, they actually can make you sell. So I think you just have to sell it and eat it. If you went under contract there, you could not sell it and just say, hey, I'm not selling the deal. They're typically not going to sue you because it costs money to sue people. It depends on how good that deal is. If it's a great deal, maybe they'll sue you and force you to do it. But assuming that they don't, you still won't be able to sell that deal to anyone else. So it's not like you're going to be able to use that as a reason to back out and then try to get a higher offer for someone else and then say, oh, I'll sell it to them for more money. That's not going to work because you can't just extinguish the contract. So you kind of need to come up with a solution where you talk to them, and if they want to go fast and it's only a couple $1,000s, it's much cheaper for them to just put in a couple thousand more and get the deal done than it is for them to pay an attorney maybe $20,000 to $30,000 to sue you over the deal. That doesn't make sense. Suing people is not as effective as people who have not been in lawsuits think it is. They think it's really like effective because they watch a lot of TV and stuff. It ain't that effective. And it costs a lot of money. And most of the time it's a waste of money. And you could do it better by just coming to the table and getting it done. Absolutely, Sweet V said that will come off the proceeds of the sale unless it's a major amount and the sales proceeds aren't close to exactly, unless it's a major amount. So if it's a few thousand, you're pretty much fine. So let's get back into the flow. So we found this deal. It's worth 170. We bought it for 90, put in 30 with a HELOC. How much time did that rehab take, or the total process? You want to budget, I want to say with time, you want to budget a longer amount of time than you think it'll take to get done. Especially if you're using lending, you're using financing, because there are fees, mortgage interest, and different costs associated with things like a hard money loan. So you want to budget in an additional amount of time. A deal like this will take you about 4 months, and we'll talk about why. But this will take you about 4 months to execute on. You could, in terms of budgeted time, you could certainly execute on the right deal like this in like 30 days. If you really run a tight ship, and if the property is ready, you get the rehab done quickly, you get the inspections done quickly, 30 to 60 days, you could do this. You could do this within that 90-day window. But I would budget 4 months to be safe, to be conservative. But this deal went pretty fast. The mortgage all in, taxes, insurance, because we're doing this in Philly, which is where the Boots on the Ground program is. That's where we build houses for you. And it's a very low tax city comparatively to other places like Jersey, maybe New York, upstate New York at least, but definitely Jersey, definitely places like California, some rural areas. Philly is very low in taxes. So all in, we're at $1,099. That's all in. Taxes, insurance, mortgage, interest, like all of that stuff, all your fees, right? Then we have the rent. So what rent did we get for this property? And this property, by the way, is it's 3 beds, 1 bath. And you'll see, I'm going to write it like that because that's how you'll see it in a listing. It's a 3-1. 3 beds, 1 bath, right? So this 3-bed, 1 bath in this zip code, because rents have gone up substantially over the course of time, this 3-bed, 1 bath is renting for $1,911 a month. That was the approved rent that we got for this property. Now, the cool thing about this is this same property, because of the zip code that it's in, I would say 2 years ago, this property would rent for $1,300 a month. But because rates went up, I tell you guys, the market is constantly ebbing and flowing, and it's adjusting to itself. As interest rates went up, rent started going up to offset the cost of carrying the property, to offset this higher cost. So the rents went up so much that the spreads are back. You can make $1,000 a month in cash flow off of one deal. In fact, I was just talking to several of my mentees earlier today who are in the Boots on the Ground program about a deal we sent out that has that level of cash flow. And they're like, yeah, $1,000. Like, Brian, how should I think through this deal? I'm like, well, if you leverage $8,000 to get $1,000 a month, how many people would take that bet? I'm taking that. If I have to put out, if I said, hey, give me $8,000, I'm going to asset back it with $170,000 property. Give me $8,000, you guys, and I'm going to give you $1,000 a month in cash flow. You can do whatever you want with it. And you have a property that you own. Would you take that? A lot. I mean, what else would you do? What else are you thinking about doing? If you put $8,000 in your 401k and you got a 7 or 8% return, that's like $650 a year. We're talking about taking that $8,000, putting it in real estate, getting an asset, tax losses, deductions, and then getting cash flow. It's a no-brainer when you learn this thing. There is no better place for the average person to put their money and to do well and to get cash flow today that can support you in saving more money to do more deals or even early retirement, getting out of the rat race. Okay. Let's see. We have some other questions. Do you have to own the home for a year before a bank will let you? No, you could actually have this property for 30 days. Literally the time it takes us to renovate it is all they need. They're like, okay, you've owned it for more than 30 days. Great. We'll lend on it. No, you don't even need to own it for a year. You own it for 30 days. Some you don't have to own it for 30 days because it's a lender's requirement. So if one lender's like, hey, we got a 6-month seasoning requirement, you're just like, hey, that's good for you. They have a 30-day requirement, so I'm going to go with them. Okay. And then you get your money and you keep moving. Heck, in 6 months, you could do 6 deals like this. In 6 months, you could do 20 deals like this at the right scale and with the right systems and teams. There is no limit. And that's the beautiful part about this. And that's why you just need to do it one time. You need to learn how to do this strategy once. If you learn how to do one successful deal, then you can do it 100 times. It's just like learning how to ride a bike. I don't have to get you on a bike every day for you to go do it. You could not ride a bike for 2 years, get on a bike. It's the same process. Real estate doesn't change all that much. It's one of the oldest industries. But that's a great question. No, you don't. You don't have to own it for a ton of time. Is there any deal I can make if I own land to attain a home or deal like the one you're speaking on? Yeah, you could build an ADU. If you own land and you have your house on it, you could build an accessory dwelling unit on your land, and then you could rent that out. You could build it. As you build it, you're naturally going to create equity from the build. So then you can refinance all your money out, rent it, and cash flow. So you can even do this with your own property if you have enough land and it makes sense. Approved for Section 8. Absolutely. We're going to talk about Section 8. So Section 8 approved the rent at 1911. They went through their rent determination department, and here's how the numbers broke out. Section 8, out of that 1911, they're paying $1,511 a month. The government is. So even with just the government's money, Uncle Sam now paying you instead of, if we're in tax season. So it's like you're paying Uncle Sam, but this is Uncle Sam paying you. This is government money coming in. Even the government money is more than the mortgage. There's like a $400 spread between these two numbers right there. So even that fear of what if the tenant doesn't pay? Oh, how am I going to cover my mortgage? Well, the government portion is covering it. The tenant is only paying $400 a month. So this is a great setup. And there are setups where I've seen the tenant pay 0 and the government pays 100%. That happens all the time, actually. This is actually one of the higher tenant portions I've seen. I've seen tenants paying $80 a month, $85 a month, $30 a month, zero. So that cash flow amount on a deal like this, just a regular run-of-the-mill deal, you can run in 90 days. You could do this very conservatively. This is a $30,000 renovation. This is nothing. Paint, flooring. You could have your handyman do this. And in fact, we did have a handyman do maybe 50% of it to keep costs low. Clean it out, fix the back porch, paint the exterior, cap some of the windows. I mean, we did not go, crazy on this deal. The cash flow off of this deal, after getting all of your money back, by the way, in the refinance. So you have no money committed to this deal. If you had $100K in your bank and you did this deal, at the end of the refi, you have $100K back in the bank and you had this deal. Now we're cash flowing $812 a month. Every month in cash flow. Just coming in. By the way, because this is a Section 8 tenant, they're going to stay for 5 to 8 years. They're going to stay in that property for 5 to 8 years. So you're going to keep cash flowing. This is on a 2-year lease. And by the end of this 2-year lease, rent probably will go up again. Rents go up again. Now you're cash flowing $1,000 a month off of this property. And that's the other wrinkle I wanted to talk about. This is a living, breathing number that typically goes up over the course of time. It typically goes up. So you want to focus on finding deals like this that are profitable, where you can make good cash flow. And you want to understand that even if it's not hitting $1,000 a month today, if you hang on to it for 5 years, it's going to get there because rents continue to inflate. And then once it gets there, it's going to go higher. It's going to get to $1,500 a month in cash flow. Because if you think about the rent for a 3-bed, 1-bath starter home, with the way that inflation is going and prices are going, it's not going to be that far-fetched for somebody to pay $2,500 a month. Give me $2,500 a month for a 3-bed, 1-bath home to yourself in Philadelphia, the 6th largest city in America, in a decent neighborhood where you can raise your family. That's not going to be a lot of money 5 to 10 years from now. $2,500 with just inflation. Not going to be that much money. So it's very easy for this number to get into the $1,300 range. An extra $500-$600 a month coming in on this rent. That's an extra $600. That could go up to $1,400 a month in cash flow. And it's going to happen. So because these numbers grow, your job is to get really micro-focused, get really locked in, and go out and get started. Just get one deal done and grab as many as you can while interest rates are low, while prices are low, and there's still properties that you can buy for $90K, $80K. Some we're getting for $70, $65K. Not necessarily in the condition that this one was in. This was a steal. But these are out there, and they're right on the MLS. They're right in front of your face. You just may lack the skills to identify them. But that gap can be filled very quickly. That gap can be filled in a matter of weeks with the right content, the right information, and the right guidance and mentorship. You can fill that gap. So then you fill that gap, you get that out of the way, you get your first deal, you have $800 a month coming in. That number's going to grow over the course of time. Go get another. Go get another. Go get another. If you have 5 to 10 of these that you acquired in 2-3 years, that's $10,000 a month. And this is just one strategy. There's other strategies. There are deals where you can do one deal and this number will say 10,000. There's more management, but the juice may be worth the squeeze. There are other deals you could do one deal and number's 3,000, 4,000. I'm actually going to be dropping a training in the next couple of days, a whiteboard training that's going to break down these 3 different strategies that we're going to be talking about all year. This is by far, in my opinion, the easiest strategy to get started with as an absolute beginner. This would be one of the easiest strategies. This is why we went with it for this boots on the ground member who's, I think, naturally just a bit more conservative in terms of risk profile. So we wanted to go with a conservative strategy and it paid off. And when we started the deal, the rent was only supposed to be like $1,700. So even that, this game rewards you just for getting in. So we started the deal. The rent was supposed to be $17.80. We finished the deal. The rent was $19.11. The game will just give you for getting started. It's a very rewarding game, real estate. This doesn't even factor in tax losses, ghost depreciation, and different tax benefits that this guy's going to get from being a landowner and a business owner now, because that's who the tax code was written for. So you just have to get started, man. You guys have to get started. We have a couple more questions. Guys, if you got value from this breakdown, like, comment, subscribe, leave a comment that says I subscribed. But more important than that, share the content with somebody else who you think could take this strategy and get value out of it. Because we need more people to become owners, especially in the communities that this information is getting out to. We need more owners, because the people who miss out on these opportunities, trust me, these numbers will not look like this. If I show your kids as they become your age, if I show them this number, if I just sat down and played this video, they walk up and smack you in the back of the head for not doing more deals. But like, what were you thinking? That deal was only 90K. This deal will be 900,000. 900,000 by the time they're your age. It could be. I'm not saying it will be. I hope it's not. But you have to understand the opportunity that you have. And if you sit on the sidelines, you're going to hurt your family. I'm not going to hurt mine, but you could hurt your family by sitting on the sidelines, thinking too small, worrying about the wrong things. There's somebody watching this right now saying, $800, that's not enough for me. There's literally somebody like that because it didn't click. No, you could do this 10 times. You could do this 10 times in the next 6 months once you get the hang of this and you get the systems and the teams. I did this 100 times in a year. 100 times in a year. It's not impossible. It's just a matter of scale. It's just a matter of getting started. So, guys, definitely, like I said, like, comment, subscribe, but share the content with somebody who you want to get value. To me, that's just as important and arguably more important. Hit somebody over the head with some value. Here's a quick question. And guys, if you have questions, drop them in the chat. We'll run a few more questions and then we'll call it for the night. Do you normally refinance the full 80%? Well, when you refinance the full 80%, that's called a cash out refinance. So how a cash out refinance looks is you bought it for 90, you put in 30. Let's say the ARV was like 200,000, which there are deals like that. When you go to do that 75% refinance, and if you can't do numbers in your head as well as me, you probably need to watch it again. But if you go to do that 75% refi, there might be a $20,000 or $30,000 spread, where they say to make it simple, the property's worth $200,000, you're all in at 120. That's an $80,000 spread. You go to the bank, they'll give you 75% of 200. That's 150. You're all in at 120. Bank will give you 150. That's $30,000 of spread. Even after closing costs, maybe you could take $25,000 cash in a cash out refinance, put that money in your pocket. And that money's tax free because it's part of a mortgage. It has a repayment associated with it. There's no tax on that money. So you could execute on this deal. And maybe the cash flow wasn't 800 because you took a little bit more money. Maybe the cash flow was 600 a month. But because you built the deal, built cash flow for yourself, built another asset for yourself, you got paid to do it. You put 25,000 in your pocket at the end, and then you take that money, you go get another one with that 25. Maybe you get another 2. And that's called the cash out refinance with the BRRRR strategy. That's one of the ways I was able to scale so quickly, because I started to identify deals where I could cash out refinance. Now, as rates doubled, it's harder to cash out refinance at 8% interest rates. But rates are going back down now. They're actually going back down into cash out refinance territory. And lenders are getting more comfortable and they're going up to 80% and getting away from 75%. So the market is loosening again. So this all is creating a window of opportunity for anyone who's watching this right now. There is a window of opportunity for you to get in the game at still historically low interest rates. These are still at 6%, 7% even, historically low interest rates. And they're going back down into the fives, and they'll probably get back down into the fours. That's where the projections are headed. So what you would want to do is go with a short-term annual renewable mortgage, a 5 and 1 arm. And then as they go back lower, refinance into a 30. When they hit the fours, when they hit the low fives, unlock more cash flow. This mortgage number goes down as rates go down because you're going to refinance into a lower interest rate. But you are going to have cash out refinance opportunities. For those who are smart enough to pay attention, say, oh, I understand, that makes sense. Let me connect with Brian, or, you can try to connect with somebody like me. I don't know who's out there who's like me, because I do things kind of my way. And a lot of it, for you guys who've been around for a while, it's counterintuitive. It's non-traditional, but it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. But connect with somebody who can give you the guidance so that you're not out making a ton of mistakes, and just execute on a handful of deals. It's over. You're going to be able to hit this window when rates get really low. You're going to do 50 deals in a year. You're going to do 25 deals in a year. Even if you're conservative, you're going to grab 10 of them. And that's going to be your 10,000 a month. And at 10,000 a month, even if you sit on your tail for 6 months, you're going to stack up 60K. And there's not that many people who know this strategy and can sit on 60K cash and just say, I'm just going to let it sit in the bank and earn nothing. When you could take it and leverage it and get over 100% cash on cash return and turn 60 into 120. Guys, hopefully you're starting to pick this up. So yes, you can do 80%. You can do cash out refi and put that money back in your pocket tax-free. That's not creating more taxable income, and you're still getting tax losses and deductions. So it just puts you overall in a more favorable tax position. How can I explain that differently? You could do $500,000 in cash out refinances and not create any tax liability from that money. That's insane. That's insane. But with that type of competitive edge, you could actually get ahead of somebody. For those of you who are what I would call like pocket watchers, and you kind of look and say, oh, so-and-so is making this much. My friend's making this much. A friend who's making that much money, you could get ahead of. You could go further than them because you're putting yourself in a bit of a better position from a tax standpoint. So even if they make double the money, not double the money, but let's say a third more of the money, they can make 150,000 extra than you and still walk away or walk home with less money than you because your tax game is strong and theirs is weak. And that's the world we live in. So you'll either learn or you'll pay until you learn. And there's cheaper ways to learn. School of Hard Knocks, trying to figure it out yourself. Go blow 200,000. Go blow $250,000. Go blow through $500,000 in mistakes. Or you learn from mentorship and you get it done. Sweet V said he's 100% right about everything. I'm in real estate. He hasn't been wrong yet. It's astonishing. No, definitely. I mean, what we're talking about, it is counterintuitive. I know it may sound odd, but this is backed by real life experience. So it's not a question to me. It's just, this is what it is. This is what you'll run into. And this is how you can make money. Can you acquire HUD housing? Definitely. You can acquire HUD housing if you want. You can grab that right off the MLS. You can grab that right off of their websites. We buy houses from everywhere. MLS, off market, the tax sales, the auctions, the liens, the tax certs. You can buy land in a bunch of different ways. You can buy properties and cash flowing assets in a bunch of different ways. You just need to pick the one strategy that works for you. Pick one way, go all in on it, make it happen, get some cash flow, and then scale yourself up to the next level. So do it once so that you can go do it 10 times. Then you will have enough cash flow coming in where you don't have to work a 9 to 5. And you can take your time back. You can take your energy back. Give your energy and your time to your family. Give it to your empire, building a portfolio. And you will thank yourself later. If you give all your energy and your time to the 9 to 5 and you walk away from this thing with a 401k it ain't going to look too pretty. It's certainly not going to look as pretty as it will for somebody who took the time to build the portfolio and maybe still has a little 401k and still has the ability to work if they need to or if they fall into hard times. But they had that time to really build their family, teach the kids how to manage wealth, and make money for themselves, not just be employees. Doing this stuff, it takes time. So as you're working at 9 to 5, you're missing opportunity. Every day that goes by, we're a day older. We got a day less left on this earth. I just lost 2 engineers in the last 30 days, dropped dead. One was probably 39, one was 70. So it's like sobering. The guys that you build relationships with, that you do deals with, they're here, they're gone. And you start thinking, what are you going to leave behind? Like, boom, if I run in and said, boom, you're dead, you're out of here. What are you going to leave behind to your family? Like right now, though, not thinking about what you're going to do later and this big, what are you going to leave right now? Some of us don't even have life insurance. Like, we're not going to leave anything. But even outside of that, like, what assets are you going to leave? And if that answer is 0, you're hustling backwards. You got to get in. It's by any means necessary, because the window of opportunity is here. It'll be gone. It happens all the time. And then there's going to be permanent renters. And your family could be, on that lane. And it would be unfortunate, because you're at least getting an opportunity to get exposure to the knowledge, which is more than generations of us have ever had. Have not had exposure to the knowledge at all. You have exposure, and that is 90% of the battle. It's just knowing that it exists. Now that you know it exists, you have to take action. You got to take action. You cannot go back. You cannot stay stuck. And we're not going to stay stuck. A lot of my mentees are chiming in right now because they know that they know what time it is. Where are you finding the MLS numbers? You might need to tap into the mentorship. I can show you how to book a call. Click the link in the description, book a call. We'll talk about it. How you can find more deals. It sounds like you're struggling with that. Can't wait to get started, man. I have all the knowledge from looking in all last year on the master class. Once I file taxes, oh yeah, once you get that tax return hits, it's on. Let's definitely talk, Wes. Let's definitely talk, Wes. That's good to hear. And you have skills, Wes. You have the electric background. You can actually go out and do some of the work yourself, and save the money on the project and build equity to do cash out refinances. There's some good opportunities. Stay tapped in. Knowledge is power. When you use the knowledge, exactly. tapping in from Rhode Island area, from that pocket, and there's some good deals out there. Once you leverage the knowledge, there's a lot of power in it if you use it. It's very powerful. That's why they don't teach this stuff to you in school. Imagine how much you learn in school. Also, a funny thing about school I was thinking about is how people will question real estate mentorship as like, is real estate mentorship a scam? Is getting knowledgeable about real estate a scam? Well, some people will ask that over like a $500 course, but they will enroll in a university to learn nothing about really making money, just how to be an employee. To learn that for 3-4 years, they'll sign up for $300,000 a debt with no questions asked. They don't ask the college, like, is this a scam? Is this really worth $300,000? How much am I really making? What kind of job can I really get with this degree? They don't say anything. They don't ask anything. They just run in, rip their name on $300,000 of loans with interest rates, but have more scrutiny for a $500 program, hypothetically at least, a $500 program that's going to show them how to break free from the rat race for generations. It just shows the great job of brainwashing that has been done on us. That's all it shows, is how great of a job of brainwashing has been done, to where you question independent knowledge of wealth in America through real estate, but will not question going into hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt with high interest rates for something that doesn't even guarantee you a high paying job. It's insane, but an amazing brainwashing job. Brian is a great mentor. Going on my second deal in less than a year. Definitely just tapping in and getting results. Definitely, he's an awesome mentor, and his program works. It's no BS. There's definitely no nonsense. And Joubert, he's awesome closing my first deal soon. He's an example of somebody who tapped in from out of town. Joubert is tapping in from Florida, so he didn't get held back by that. Oh, Brian, but you're here and I'm here. He was just like, no, I get it. I understand. You know what you're talking about, and you're working with people all over the country. And I told him, he was skeptical. We're actually going to drop his testimonial this week. I'm going to drop it for you guys so you can learn more about his story. He's a firefighter. He's a great guy, amazing guy, and a fearless guy. I should have known because he's a firefighter. So there has to be this fearlessness about you. But he has channeled into business. Like, he's fearless at a level that makes me almost question myself to a degree. But he was highly skeptical. And he tapped in. I told him on the course out, look, I got you. I'm going to hold you down. And you can make this happen. You can get results in 90 days or less. Like, you can make this happen. 75 days into a mentorship, he got a deal. And he did it all. He tapped in. He flew out to the ride along. We got him on a ride along. I showed him the ropes, kind of the game, and it clicked for him. And he's aggressive. He has, different skill sets that you can use. Like, if you have a sports background, you're aggressive, or you know how to do teamwork and different things. He put that into the real estate, which is something I've done as well. And boom, deal within the first 75 days. So a living testament of what we're speaking. And somebody who's starting from scratch, like, I don't, know a ton. I'm new, and boom, coming in and getting results. It does. Here's the other thing I'll say though. Even though it is amazing to get those results in 90 days or less, even if it took you 365 days to get results, or another year, 2 years. I saved and studied for 2 years before I ever did my first deal, because I didn't have the mentorship. I didn't have the blueprint. I didn't have somebody who said, come on, I'll show you the ropes. I'll do all this. I'll do your deal analysis. I'll meet with you one-on-one on Zoom calls, break it all down for you, give you a course. I didn't have all that. Social media wasn't built out like that. There were still a lot of things that were newer when I was getting started. Even Instagram was very new, like extremely new. So even if it takes you longer to get results, or the timing is off, you got to stick with this thing. It's not a race in that sense, because once you get one deal done, you can start to scale. Scale means doing multiple deals at the same time. So even if it took you longer to do your first deal than someone else, if you focus on scale and they don't, you will leapfrog them. That you'll pop up 3 years later. Hey, how many deals you got? Oh, I got 10. I'm killing it. And you'll be like, I got 30. And they're like, whoa, how did you get 30? You started a year after me. Because I scaled. I focused on that. So there's just a lot to this game. I don't want you guys to feel discouraged about any of it. I want you guys out going after this thing hardcore and just taking your time with it, and it will come together for you. Like, I promise you, it will come together if you stick with real estate and if you trust the game. To me, the real estate mentorship scam question, I know there are flim-flam guys out there, right? But real knowledge of how to invest in real estate, nothing trumps that. There is no wool that can be pulled over your eyes. And the beautiful part is there are real ways to invest in real estate and make profits. Real ways that are easily predictable and teachable and transferable. So there are flim-flam guys who don't know anything, but there's real knowledge out here. I've tapped into some guys, in the past along my journey, who were doing things that I was like, man, that looks amazing. I want to learn about that. Tapped in and I learned it. And I got results. And I was like, man, that was worth it. That 10x'd me. I wouldn't have figured that out. And that's why another big reason why I'm here and why I'm able to, no script, do this week over week. This is like live number 60, which means, and these are weekly lives, which means I've done them for over 52 weeks, for over a year, consistently every week. And there's more knowledge to give you guys, because there's so much good knowledge out there. The good knowledge out there trumps the bad knowledge. There's a handful of bad actors. They all blow up and implode at some point in time. But there's a lot of good information and smart people out here that you guys can learn from and scale to the next level. the beautiful thing about the 100 Keys Masterclass and what we build here is anything that I learn, you guys know this about me. Anything I learn, anything I get exposed to, I expose you guys to. I bring it straight to you guys. So you're getting an exposure within the 100 Keys Masterclass to multiple philosophies that I've battle tested, maybe refined, but I am not the inventor of all things, real estate. I've tweaked some strategies and they're very unique. And I'm probably one of the only people doing them that you could learn it from and at this level. But I don't pretend to have it created real estate. Real estate has been here before I got here. It'll be here when all of us are checked out. But when we're checked out, we just want to make sure that we've taken what we can learn at this point in time and used it to benefit generations of our family, at least the next generation or two, so that they have a head start, so that they don't have to start off and think, all you can do is just work for somebody else. I was blessed. My grandfather owned real estate. My grandfather owned businesses and real estate for his whole life. So there was never I was never disillusioned. I never thought that I couldn't do it because I had the example. My father also entrepreneur, owned business. My mother also. So it was just kind of there. Now, scaling and doing different things, I've added different elements to that. But just having that example that you can run your own business and survive outside of the matrix or go back in and come back out. That's something you need exposure to. You need to serve as that example for the next generations. So they can say, oh, well, so-and-so, they own houses. They had 15 houses and they lived off the cash flow. And then that was inherited. And that makes a difference. That can give somebody drive and a way out outside of ways out that have very low probabilities of success. Even the corporate America route compared to real estate, most people don't get this, but you have such a higher percentage chance of achieving the highest levels in real estate than you do in corporate America. Statistically, you have a higher chance of getting the income that you want out of real estate than you do out of corporate America, statistically, with the amount of jobs that are available that even pay that amount and the qualifications you need to get those jobs and the competition on a national and international level now. This is the easier path, but the brainwashing job is so good that people can't see it. So they go the other way. They hustle backwards. They go the other way. And they try to work harder and outcompete people in a corporate environment that they're not suited to win in, because that game is designed for you to fail. That game is designed for you to fail. The real estate game doesn't care who wins. Doesn't care what you look like, where you come from. Doesn't care if you went to an Ivy League institution or you didn't barely graduate high school. Don't care. Do you know the blueprint? Do you know the password? It's like the movies where you knock on the door and this guy opens a slot and just says password. That guy doesn't care what you look like or where you come from, how much money you have or don't have. Do you know the password? Open sesame. You say the password, the door opens. You don't know the password, the door stays closed. This is part of the password. This is a breakdown of part of the password for your financial opportunities opening up, that door opening for you, starting to understand different sectors of finance and how you can position yourself and your family. But it's up to you to learn the password. It's right in your face. It's accessible. But a lot of us are distracted. If you don't learn the password, the door stays closed. But it ain't going to stay closed for the guy next to you, to the left and right of you, who gets it. It ain't going to stay closed for Jubert. That I'll promise you about that guy. It ain't going to stay closed for him. He wants it too bad. And he's willing to go for it. He's willing to. So he's going to eat he ate somebody's lunch already. And just taking that deal, he's going to eat somebody's lunch. And that's something that's admirable. And if you want to acquire anything, acquire that. Acquire that. I got to make this happen. And all the knowledge, all the systems, all the resources, they'll all fall into place for you. Because the game is not trying to hold you back from winning. The game don't care. It don't care. Trust me. It's a multi-trillion-dollar industry. It's got bigger things to think about and bigger fish to fry than you making $1 million. They don't care if you make $1 million in a $1 trillion industry. You think somebody's going to step up and stop you? No, nobody cares. So go do it. There's, you don't worry about the naysayers. They're just going to sit on the sidelines anyway. You just go do it. Go take the challenge. Go take the steps and keep going. Don't stop. Even if you make a mistake, even if you overspend, even if some of these things happen, keep going. The way out of the cave is where? It's further in the cave, unfortunately. If you're afraid of the dark, the light is at the other end of the tunnel. You don't turn around and stay stuck and get confused and lost. You keep following the light until you get to the other end. That's the way out. Same thing with real estate. Even if you make a mistake, keep going. And you'll find your feet, and then you'll scale. And before you know it, you'll be like, man, it's the best thing that ever happened to me. Sorry about that rant, but it was a good rant. If you got value out of that rant, like, comment, subscribe, share the value, share the content. But the comment that says I subscribed, I'll send you that free training, and click the links in the description. You can tap into me and my team, speak with us one-on-one. We're going to be dropping more trainings, new trainings you guys haven't seen. You guys have not seen that. Well, this training is coming out tonight or tomorrow. I'm waiting for the editing to be done. And once that drops, I'm going to send it out to all of you guys, because it's a training I've been wanting to put together for a long time for you, but it's just, I'm here to serve. So there's many more of you to serve every day, and that's a blessing. So I stay stuck in that. But as I got time, I actually just got the email as we spoke. I just had the email pop through that it's ready. So I'm going to get that training up and running in some of the portals we have, and send it to you. But yeah, we got receipts. Well, I've been doing this long enough to have receipts. See, I already knew before I served the first one of us and helped the first 100 Keys Masterclass mentee, I already had receipts from me. But it's more important that you guys see each other winning. It's even more important to me to see you guys win. I already know how to win. I don't care. And I'm a team player. I like to win together. I miss that about sports. So you guys are part of my team. And I don't win just for me to win. I win when we win. When you win, I can celebrate. That's part of the game. That's part of this real estate game and why we're doing this, to uplift the community. So he says, damn, my guy has receipts. Really the GOAT, nothing but positive testimonials. I can't wait to take off. Congrats, all of you. Definitely. And I appreciate you guys for staying locked in and reaching back out, giving testimonials, which is a generousness. I try to give you guys as much value as possible. I don't hold anything back. One of my people was like, Brian, you say too much on the lives. I'm like, hey, we got to give the goods out here, because somebody might only listen to this one. Somebody might only be listening to this one. And this can't be the one where less value was given or not enough value was given, because then there was a missed opportunity, not only for that person, but generations who could have benefited from that person saying, oh, the way he dropped it that way, the way he explained that one, I actually caught that. That could change somebody's whole trajectory. So while I'm here on this planet, like I said, I lost two important people, two important players. While you're here, you get value. You go 100%. When you crash, you take a nap, you power back up, you go 100% again. That's how you get stronger in this game. So give it your all. It'll give its all back to you. The real estate is kind of like, it's a reciprocal energy in that sense. If you give good energy to the real estate, it gives it back to you. So you always just want to be generous with the real estate. You can't take the knowledge. I'm a hoard the knowledge. Real estate will hoard the deals. That's how it works. It'll hoard the resources. So you have to be generous with your energy in this game, and you'll get it done. You will get it done. So guys, hopefully this gave you a lot of value. If you got some value, like, comment, subscribe. Watch this again so that you can really let this stuff digest for yourself. Like, you really need to drink in these numbers. We talked about a couple of wrinkles. This was a Section 8 strategy. It's a great strategy to start off with. It's very conservative. There's other strategies out here that you guys can get into. And, reach out. If you want to work with me one-on-one, I can't work with everybody. I talked to a guy this an hour ago, and he was like, hey, have you heard of DJ Envy? And I was like, look, bro, this ain't all that. You go do your research. There's so many testimonials out there. I've dropped a year of live sessions. We're dropping short form content every day. I'm hitting you guys with so much. Go do your research, man. We've made it so easy to do research. But if you ain't ready, you ain't ready. I don't have time to work with everybody anymore. It's way too busy. But if you're serious, if you're ready to scale, reach out. I'll carve out the time. I'll go the extra mile to try to get you in this game and get you some results. Because I know I only got to show you how to do it once. You guys are smart. You guys are here because you're smart. You only need to learn it once. Once you learn it once, you can do it 100 times. Because you don't even need to be that smart to do this stuff. You just need to know the password, the blueprint. So hopefully that helps. I'll see you guys on the next one. Brian Grimes, your real estate mentor.